Hey guys, Buffaque here again. Today giving you my opinion on the North American Arms 380 Guardian. This particular firearm doesn't belong to me. It belongs to a family member of mine, but I asked them if I could borrow it for a week or two so I could get some trigger time in and give you guys my opinion of the firearm. I will say, overall, this is not a firearm that I would care to own myself. Really for two big reasons. One, the weight of the firearm, and two, the cost. And really, when I say the weight of the firearm, I also factor the width. The weight and the width is one thing, and then of course the cost. As far as specs of the firearm, it's a 380 automatic, 6+1 capacity. It's about 21 or so ounces. If to you that doesn't really mean much, check out the weight on a lot of the other, especially polymer frame firearms that are out. Check out the weight on those, and you will really see how drastic the weight of this particular firearm is. 20 ounces is pretty darn heavy for a firearm that is chambered in 380 ACP. Okay, that's not air weight at all. Now it is an all metal frame. Okay, this is a steel firearm. So, you know, for those of you who don't want to carry a polymer firearm, if you want something that is feels a lot more substantial in your hand, then you might love this firearm. I will say, from a shooting perspective, I really enjoyed it. Because it is so heavy, it made shooting it very enjoyable. It's got of course, it's double action only, so it has a very long trigger pull. I will say the firearm is currently hot. It's not chambered, but I do have a loaded magazine in it there. There we are. It does have a very long trigger pull, double action only, of course, but a clean trigger break. Shooting it, I sort of enjoyed shooting it, to be honest. Held a very tight pattern, but as far as carrying this firearm, it's pretty heavy compared to a lot of other options that are out there. You know, for a weight of 21, and that's unloaded, by the way, it's right between 20 and 21 ounces. That's unloaded. But for that kind of a weight, you know, you could really look at some larger options, larger in terms of caliber. 380 is not, you know, the biggest guy on the block, so I feel like if you're going to carry something that's heavy, you might as well get more firepower for it, you know, if you're going to do it. As far as the size of it, I'm going to sort of compare it to my C Camp that I showed you guys in a couple videos ago. Here's a look at my little C Camp in 25 automatic. Love this little firearm. Love this little gun. But as far as size, here's the big thing that I want to show you guys. The width. Okay. Now, given this is a 25 and this is a 380, all right? So even with that in mind, there's a pretty substantial difference. Look at that, man. Yeah. Pretty substantial difference in the width of these firearms, okay? The North American Arms 380 is almost an inch wide. I think they have it listed on their website as being, 0.94. So it's almost an inch wide, okay? That's pretty substantial, all right? Again, for a 380. I feel that that's a little too bulky for me. It's a little too chunky. All right. The price tag is the other thing that I mentioned to you guys that kind of deters me. Brand new, if you were to purchase this firearm brand new, you're looking at the same price, pretty close to the same price as a brand new Glock. Okay, and I'm not even a Glock fan, really. I mean, I don't own any Glocks, but you know, for that price tag, you've got a brand new Glock. So, you know, you have to really decide, is that something you want to spend that amount of money on? for a firearm that really, I mean, doesn't really have a whole lot of. There's not really many special features to this firearm. I mean, it's meant to be a deep concealed carry piece, which believe me, I certainly appreciate that. But for a firearm that's meant as a deep concealed piece, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of blocky to me. It's got these hard rubber grips, which I do like. I think the grips are nice. The grips are relatively thin, as you can see there. All right, so that's kind of nice. Again, the trigger pull is excellent. You'll notice here, if you look here on the front of the frame, Car Arms apparently some while back partnered with North American Arms. I believe it was when North American Arms started doing the 380. Car partnered with NAA to help them do these frames, and so I believe you're going to have the same sort of trigger with the Guardian 380 that you will with say one of the Car. I don't know the Car models, but I know Car does a 380 automatic as well. So you're going to basically have the same sort of trigger on this as you will with that firearm. Talking about quality for a moment, I mean, it's still what you would expect from North American Arms. I mean, there's no slop in the firearm at all. Clean trigger break. You know, it's when you hold one of these, you feel like you're holding a quality firearm. It doesn't feel like junk. You know, quality steel. I don't think there's any I think other than the rubber grips, that's the only plastic. Not even really plastic, obviously, but that's the only thing on this firearm that isn't metal, you know, or some kind of steel. Everything else on this thing is heavy and built well. So it's 6+1 capacity, which again, you know, is not, you know, in my opinion, is not terrible, but you know, you're also not in the same world as you would be with, you know, like a Glock or CZ or M&P, you know, any take your choice, you know. You're a lot more limited in your capacity. And to me, if you're going to be limited in capacity, the point of what you should gain with limited capacity is what you gain with something like the C-Camp. You gain a small size. And I don't know if it's really translating on screen how big of a difference it is between these two. You know, obviously, North American Arms used the exact same model as C-Camp did for the design of the firearm, but I'll kind of try and line them up here and show you the difference. Okay, I think that's pretty well lined up. You know, you can see with that NAA, you know, your barrel's a lot longer, your grip is a lot longer, a little bit wider as well. But to me, the big thing that you really feel when you're carrying it is how much wider the North American Arms is. You know, it's much wider. You do have, now unlike the C-Camp, which C-Camp gives you no sights at all, because, you know, it's not meant to be used for, you know, a long-distance target shooting sort of pistol. They don't put any sights on it at all, which honestly, when I've been shooting it, I've found that if you just line it up as you normally would, as if there were sights, you know, you still can hold a really nice pattern. But anyway, the sights on the North American Arms are very minimal, which I like. I know a lot of people would kind of fault them for that, but no. If you're trying to do a deep concealed piece, you don't want big sights on it, or even like the C-Camp here, no sights at all. So I don't fault them for that. I think the sights are fine. I think a lot of people complain about that. To me, that's fine. The sights are fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's just, for me, guys, the price tag and the overall, the width and the weight of this firearm. You know, a firearm that's an inch wide, over 20 ounces in weight, unloaded. You know, it's just, it's kind of bulky and kind of chunky for what you get. You compare this to like the LCP or the P3AT, you know, to me it's like I would much rather carry one of those because they're a lot more comfortable and convenient to carry. Now, as far as shooting, that's a different conversation, but You know, when you're making a pistol like this, you're making it for your EDC folks. You know, your people with concealed carry permits. So I don't know, North American Arms. I think you've got it's a quality built firearm. I just think it's kind of clumsy. I think it's a little bit chunky. So anyway, that's my opinion on that firearm, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. If any of you guys own this firearm, let me know what your experiences have been. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.